What was anything else we were going to talk about with the visiting the Hopi?
Visiting the Hopis, yeah. Well, oh, I could tell you about a dance I went
Mm-hmm.
to.
Okay.
Um, my friend said, "Oh, we're going to go to this dance," and I said, "Fine." And we told Caroline, and she said to me, "Well, if they ask you what religion you are, tell them you're traditional." And I said, "Okay." We we drove in this car over to the second mesa to see the dance, and I well, oh wait a minute, was it? Oh yeah. Anyway, we get there and it's like this very simple village, you know, and there's like a little tiny earthen kind of piazza, you might say, with a little tree, and I noticed this dog came along and peed on the tree, and that was supposed to be some holly tree or something, but I was like, am I supposed to chase the dog away or what? Then anyway, it begins with the clowns coming out, and the clowns are all painted in stripes, black and white, and they have like cut off jeans that are kind of raggedy, and they'll have like you know, a smiley face on it or something, a handkerchief coming out the pocket, one tennis shoe on, one tennis shoe off, a wig that is so old and looks like it's been through a washing machine a couple of times, and on their head, and they're like, they come over to me and said, "Are you Christian?" And I said, "Not really." And they said, "Well, are you holy roller?" I said, "No." And then, as he reached and pulled a hair from right here, he said, "Are you a goat?" And that made me laugh at somehow, of course. And, okay, they went on. Then they came to some three Chicanos, you know, long hair, crosses and everything. And they go over and they start singing, "Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. The Bible tells me so." And then they walk out. They go. They choose. Now, a few minutes later, the same guy that came up and asked questions said to me, "Okay, now you're going to be my partner." And I'm thinking, well, I don't know what it means, but I guess I'm going to be his partner. And then I see the other Indians, and they're doing the same thing with different women, one German woman and some other people. And they bring them over, and we're all standing there, and they put an egg in each person's mouth, you know? And we're standing there with the egg in our mouth. And except they come to the German lady, and she said, "Oh, no, 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 no." Well, she doesn't know, but right behind her is this very old Indian man with the egg, and he smashes it right in her face. And I'm thinking, oh my God, am I supposed to, would you consider it an act of violence? Well, I wasn't invited here. They probably weren't invited here either. You know, this isn't what they're doing it for, so whatever, we have to fit in. And, but it could be worse. And she remained standing there, and I think they eventually wiped her face off probably too, but whatever. Then my partner says to me, you know, "Get down and give me," you know, he grabs my ankles, and we're going to have a race with these other people with the egg in my mouth. Then he decides, no, no, no. I'll do it. He gets down and he puts the egg in his mouth. And the race begins, and he purposely falls right on his face with the egg. And gets up and he's laughing, you know. And then after that, the dancers start coming out, and you really, you know, it's also beautiful. It's impossible to explain. You know, you can't believe that you're in the middle of the desert. There's nothing around you to, you know, do anything. There's no cokes. There's no this. Do you know? It's I don't know. It's really impressive to see people actually do a ritual that is so old and, you know, so, you know, it's subtle, the way they dance. It looks like it's nothing, but how do they keep in step with each other? Because they're all lined up, you know. And they're so beautiful. They have those wooden masks that are all hand carved, like morning glories, etc. And real pine around their necks as a collar, and the tortoise shell on the thing making, and the clowns are throwing cornmeal on them as they dance, and it's just, you can feel this energy. It's like a column, you know, into the heavens, in a way. That's what I experienced.
Yeah, it's amazing, powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be denied.
And my stories are very, you know, it comes from a very limited time with them, whereas other people have spent more time. I know that.
What was your introduction to the Hopi Nation with your friends?
Through a friend I had met years ago in Rome, in like the early 60s. He was like definitely almost half Indian, you might as well say, very close to it. And he had made friends with them before that. It's strange because, you know, it's strange. You meet people who are very, in some way, very sophisticated and, you know, kind of worldly too. Do you know that, like, you go to parties in Hollywood and da-da-da-da. But this friend of mine, Larry, was also a person that really knew where to camp out and where the hot springs were right off the road. There's no indication of it. It's very small. You know, he was very good at living outdoors and doing the social scene, both things. And he was very into the Hopi Indians, and he had met them. And that's why, when I arrived, after I was there for a while, when I arrived at their door, and Caroline comes out, and Caroline was probably about this tall, and she said, "Oh, that's funny, the dogs didn't bark." Because almost every Hopi has like 3 dogs that live outside their house. So, and then I got in, and she was at this task of breaking down some herb and putting it into bags. And I was sitting there watching, and Ralph, the chief 110, was knitting black stockings that will be worn by the dancers. And you know, of course I didn't know he was 110. I just saw him as a really old man, but somebody was doing things, and he got up and got me a jar full of water and handed it to me, and that's like part of their religious thing, that you have to give at least water to somebody that comes to visit. And I just kind of sat there, and after a while I said to her, "Okay, would you let me help you? And she said, sure. So I started helping her take the herbs apart. And then she said, well, why did you come here? And I said, oh, because I'm meeting my friend Larry Hall. And she said, Larry Hall? He was supposed to be here 2 years ago. And I said, yeah, well, he went to LA. And I said, you know how people get hung up in cities? And she said, oh, yeah, yeah. And I think she mentioned she was friends with General Wastemoreland. Did you? He would come there.
Wow.
Yeah, but like from after getting out of the madhouse or something, he would come there and stay a few days with them, and you know, and they had scientists from Denmark come and stay there. You know, it's a kind of, you know, they're so phenomenal. Their way of being is like so genuine. You know, and unique. I mean, you can't doubt it when you're right there with them. You know what it is. You know, can't explain it, but because I could almost feel tempted to stay there. You know, other than the fact also that it would be good for them because there's no more government watching and. You know? But they don't ever say, I think it's time for you to go. Do you know?
Yeah.
That's not their way.
Right.
I mean, that's what's so amazing about how they can live without trying to control people. They say that one of the things is in the religion that someone comes to your house, they can say anything they like. You shouldn't tell them to shut up. They let them say whatever. But you don't have to join in on the conversation. No? You can just let them talk it. That seems so wise, like, no? And one of the other things was that children should not be taught to work, that when they realize it's an honor to do the work, then they can do it. Before that,